to St. Lear 13, and we're going to be looking at a nice Formula One race around the streets of Montreal's park at Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. I've been joined today once again by XRL Torpedo. Torpedo, it's been a while since we've been able to share the booth, but it's glad to be back here. In your opinion, what can we be looking forward to today?
Probably some people dying at the Wall of Champions. I think that's probably a thing we'll probably see at this track. But hopefully a nice clean race. Obviously, this is a rescheduled race since, because the real life Belgium Grand Prix didn't happen, and it ran over the our schedule. So we've done it in between the 3 weeks that we were meant to have for our break week. Yeah. Looking for a good
So
one, hopefully.
a big thing about this race here at Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve is that this is one of the three remaining tracks on the modern Formula One schedule that is, without a doubt, 100% focused on speed and top end. You have three different DRS zones here, and most of the corners, not all, but most of them are basically high-speed chicanes. And then you have obviously a pair of hairpins, one that makes up turn 2, 3, and then one that is the second to last corner here. And okay, apparently everyone is leaving the lobby.
We're having a restart apparently because our head admin, XRL Fiend, has kicked someone from the lobby that he thought it was a random person. Obviously, with the new update, means that if you kick someone, they get banned. So, well done, Fiend.
Well, this game is definitely esports ready. Well, while I wait to get the invite into the next lobby, I do want to go ahead and say that, not last week, but 2 weeks ago at Monza, we had a very interesting event, to say the least, because two of our championship contenders didn't even show up for that race to begin with. It was literally just one of our three championship contenders, and he didn't make up a whole lot of ground either. So while the championship points battle has shifted a little bit, it's not shifted to the extent that now we have one clear person pulling away. As I go ahead and pull up the standings as they are after Monza, we look at the Constructors' Championship first. 10th is Scuderia AlphaTauri Honda. They have 54 points. Williams is 9th with 75 points. The Alpine team has 77 points. Alfa Romeo has 85, just two off of Haas with 87. McLaren is 5th with 106 points in the Manufacturers' Championship. Mercedes has 130. Red Bull has 143. Aston Martin is 2nd. They were leading very convincingly early, but they've stalled out in the 160s. They have 163 points. Seems like they're going through a bit of a mid-season collapse. And then Scuderia Ferrari is currently leading the Manufacturers' Championship with 196 points. When it comes to the Drivers' Championship, JL Bend and Constant Jet still have yet to earn points this season. 4 points goes to Plastic Love, 5 points goes to Trade 9530. XRL Pingu has 12 points. Wild Nissan GTR has 19 points. Fratters has 23 points, and also he was able to finally lead some first laps of his season the other week at Monza. Then you have Boothie 116. He has 26 points. Ocean Lion 08 has 31 points. XRL Flavor is 10th with 36 points. 9th is XRL Snake with 41 points. Then Collie Boy is 8th with 45. There's a tie for 6th and 7th in the points championship. Schumacher SF7 and Exits the Spot both are sitting with 49 points each, and they are just 1 point out from V8 Irons, who is 5th. XRL Fiend is kind of in no man's land in the points battle right now. He has 77 points. Stone Shuffle has 106 points. Extra Augusty has 139. Chubby IX Spark still leads your Drivers' Championship with 141 points at the moment. So, three championship contenders. You have, obviously, your points leader, Chubby Spark, Gusty, and Stone Shuffle. So, obviously, Chubby is here, Stone Shuffle is here, and Gusty is here as well. Between those three drivers, in your opinion, who do you think has the best chance to take home the title this season?
Well, I think I can probably give it Chubby is probably one out there that can probably go for it because he's barely missed any races. He's been very consistent in the races. So I think Chubby's been very clean as well, as I recall.
Shelby has also come from the back and taken quite a few shock victories. One victory that really stunned me that he was able to pull off, though, was the event at Zandvoort a few weeks back. We only had 6 finishers at the end of that race, and he wasn't even the first one across the line, but due to the way that penalties were stacking up, he ended up taking home the victory, just surviving after being involved in a massive lap 1 accident there. Like, I think you make a great point. Shelby has absolutely the ability to walk off with this championship, but I'm a Ferrari guy. Will admit I'm a Ferrari guy, but I also realize that putting all your eggs in the Ferrari basket normally leads to more emotional harm than good. I pulled really hard for Ozda last season, and he had a total midseason collapse. I personally think it's more likely that we will see Fiend walk out with the championship this season. I'm sorry.
If he can get a run
Gusty,
going.
not Fiend. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Like,
Gusty, not Fiend. Fiend does have a chance. If Fiend can get a run going, he can probably do it. He has the speed, but he's not super consistent. I meant Gusty. I'm sorry. Gusty has been almost as consistent as Shelby throughout the entire season, and he's been able to show up to the races that Shelby has missed, and I think that's going to work wonders in his favor as the season goes on.
hmm I think like
And
for
then Stone Shuffle,
Ferrari's
he's
teams is like
yeah.
the team pairing that Ferrari have as well is like quite strong with Schumacher and Chubby. But like one bad thing about it is like both of them tend to miss like a lot of races.
Yeah, and then also Schumacher's just had a few races recently where he wasn't able to show up, or when he has been able to show up, he's gotten knocked out really early. He's just been hit by a string of bad luck recently. We had earlier in the season about a 5-man fight for a championship, and Schumacher SF7 was one of them, but it's just kind of fallen apart for him recently. Interesting enough, after the first 3 races of the season, it was actually Schumacher SF7 and not Chubby who looked like the dominant Ferrari driver. He was out there contending for victories, and then it's just that momentum has slowed and turned against him, sadly, going forward. He's still in a good position to take home points for the Manufacturers Championship. And that's the other thing I want to talk about real quickly. The Manufacturers Championship has turned very interesting as well. Early on, it was a Aston Martin dominance. Boothie runs a lot of races runs with the Aston Martin team, and he normally isn't the greatest at race pace, but he's been very, very strong in qualifying, and then normally with the strong qualifying result can normally salvage a good finish. But that's kind of fallen against him recently. Most notably is today he's going to be serving a qualifying ban. He's going to have to start from the back. And again, race pace is not his strength. Qualifying is his strength. So for Boothie, I'd be a little bit concerned. And then not to mention the other Aston Martin driver. We had a different Aston Martin driver at the start of the season as well. But he got booted up to X2 just for being too fast. So it took him out of the championship fight. And his replacement's just not been... He's not been terrible, but it's not been the greatest either. So, but that lead that Aston Martin had in the Manufacturers Championship early on this season was really massive. They're still holding on to second, and I think they're still probably going to end up finishing top 5 in the Manufacturers Championship.
Yeah.
But unless they can start turning stuff around when it comes to race pace, I hate to say it, I think their chance at winning the Manufacturers Championship is over.
Yeah. I think looking at Boothie's like Boothie got like a 10th place in Italy and 8th place in France, but like he did not finish. He went from, I think he was like Hungary, Belgium, and Netherlands. So, like he didn't participate in Hungary, did not finish in either Belgium and Netherlands. And then you got like V8 Irons, who didn't participate for the first like since till like the British Grand Prix, where he like finished third. Then 2 6th places in like Hungary, Belgium, missed Netherlands, and then got a 2nd in Italy. So he's been consistent, but he's like obviously missed a large chunk of the season, like due to like probably like I think he was probably him being in Dev and getting the seat after Mr. Anderson was got put up to X2. So he's put.
And not to mention, V8 Irons also kind of has a split focus because he also takes place in both Dev and XRL. Now, he had a respectable showing yesterday in XRL. He won yesterday's Dev race, but due to the weird scheduling scenarios that have happened, primarily because the real-life Formula 1 race at Spa didn't happen, that was a Monaco race yesterday, and not a Montreal race. So yeah, he's has a victory on his shoulder, but it's not at the track that he needs to be practiced at for today's event.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, well already we're starting to see the first drivers come out onto the circuit, and it looks like that is Mantic Meekrat who's trying to be the first one out. He is in the Haas machine. So,
Right.
real quickly, as you'll notice when you look at the circuit map that is pulled up there, you'll notice there are a lot of straightaways here. I very briefly touched upon this at the very start of the broadcast. You have 3 different DRS zones, but even on the parts of the circuit that you don't have a DRS zone, there are a lot of pretty long straightaways here that you can carry a lot of speed into. Right now, Mantic is in the second DRS zone on the back straight. Then there's a high-speed chicane with plenty of runoff on the inside of the second corner. Boy is serving his qualifying band. But this straight right now that Meekrat is on, you can get a lot of speed through there as well. We saw back in 2007, Robert Kubica carried so much speed that when his car went off, it took off into the air before slamming into a wall. Like, you can get a stupid amount of speed around this entire circuit. But it's not to the point that you can just set 1-1 wings and go. Like, there is still a balance, but the balance needs to be focused to top end, because you spend so much time at the higher end of the power band too.
As you can Mantic there, he had a very poor final 2 quarters heading against the World of Champions. He literally slowed down, so it literally lost him all the momentum that he had to start the lap. So he needs to, so basically, his lap's basically compromised from the get-go, pretty much. So you need to nail that corner quite in that run.
Yeah, and Torpedo, you were there during the XRL race yesterday, and we know how difficult it is to properly navigate the World of Champions, and it becomes doubly more difficult when you have so many different drivers here. Some people just try and go and take as much speed as they can through it, straighten it out. Some people sacrifice a lot of speed in the first half of that World Champion chicane to maximize exit speed, and if that works, when they make it work, it can overcome the lack of DRS even. It's that powerful. Some people are just very cautious and kind of tiptoe through the entire area. There are so many different approaches to it, and there's no real track barrier. Boothie is now serving his qualifying band. There's no true track barrier around that chicane except for the wall on the outside itself. It's very, very tempting to try and go side by side through there. And we see it happen, and it works like once in a blue moon, but nothing against the drivers, but everyone seems to think that they can be the next whoever, next Jensen Button, and can make overtakes there. Like, it's so tempting and so difficult, and I think that chicane, more in this game than it does in real life, really has a massive effect on who does or doesn't finish the race, simply because there are so many different ways to take it.
Yeah. And also it's so, it can really, if you take it the wrong way, if you cut that corner a little bit, slightly, your lap's basically gone. You can literally invalidate your lap or get time penalties during the race from that corner. That's probably the most common place that everyone gets that from, the warnings and the invalidations from.
And the worst part about it is that there are other corners on the schedule that are like that, where it's so easy to cut it in and validate it. But because it's literally Xing the last corner on a lap, you cut it and invalidate that lap. You not only invalidate the lap you were just on, you invalidate your subsequent lap immediately as well. That is a great way to just waste tires and fuel around here. It's absolutely aggravating to try and get right.
Interesting early on.
V8 Irons now goes to the top in the Aston Martin, but right behind him in the time sheets is the 2 Ferraris, the Schumacher SF7 and WIX Spark. 19 drivers are here right now, but 2 of them, and Plastic Love has just been disqualified from blocking the pit lane, apparently.
I think he was letting some drivers pass as well. Oh. Okay.
Well, 19 drivers are here, but Boothie and Boy are serving qualifying bans. Now Plastic Love has gotten disqualified. Yeah, let's go ahead. Yeah, if you can, try and get him on in here. But with that out, we're now down to realistically only 16 people fighting for 15 spots. If you're going to qualify with like one of the top 7 times, you'll be good. All right, coming to the party right now is Plastic Love. Plastic, it says you're disqualified from qualifying for blocking pit lane. What happened out there?
Dude, I was coming out the pit lane, right? And then I saw Ferrari, like, he's coming around turn 1, so I'm like, okay, I'll stop a little bit. So I, like, slowed my car. I slowed it down so he could, like, go and pass by. And I just get disqualified for blocking the pit lane. And then, I was just... I didn't want to, like, block his run as he's come through. I just kind of slowed down a bit. And said I was blocking.
Alright, well, now that you've been, by bullcrap, relegated to the back of the field, do you think you can make up positions in the race?
Oh, absolutely. Plus it's rain this race. I got that wet setup on. I think I could do it.
Alright, well, we'll be looking forward to you trying to climb the way up through the field. Go out there and make a Jensen Button out of yourself, I guess.
Thank you.
Alright, so I'm guessing Plastic Love knows something that I at least don't know. Apparently rain is in the forecast for the race.
Yeah, that'll be interesting as well because like we'll see if who's got the wet setup on or who's gonna go and stay on the dry setup.
One interesting thing about that though is that if
he's lost his wing.
And that's right there coming onto the DRS back straightaway. I will be able to pull over and let some other people go.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's going to be a rainy race, there's not going to be DRS zones here that drivers can utilize to overtake each other. So with that in mind, like, we'll see a lot fewer overtakes. But overtakes you will see will be almost 100% driver ability. But you'll see a lot fewer actual overtakes. If the rain holds through the entire race, qualifying could be very essential. If you qualified pole, you could probably still finish top 5 if you don't let anything bad happen to you.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked for long enough about a whole bunch of different things. 9 drivers have set their times thus far, and coming into the party right now is XRL Lopez. Hey, Caesar, how are you doing? What's up? Okay. This is very interesting. Can I make another suggestion, though? So my suggestion would be 25 for the winner, 25 for the driver who gets pole, 25 for the driver who gets fastest lap, and 25 for driver of the day. That would be my idea. Okay, that explains it. Got it, understood.
Alright.
Okay then.
Alright.
Thank you very much. Well, yep, and stay safe out there, Caesar. As we turn our focus back onto qualifying, while we were talking with him, Stone Shuffle now goes around after he just completed a lap of 1:11.728, and he spins on his cooldown lap. For those of you who are not aware, Driver 61 is a driver coaching organization, primarily focused on esports driver coaching. They've partnered up with XRL over the last few months and are helping to get drivers spun up to a higher, more proficient level. And I will admit, as much as I love X3, because boy do I really, really love X3. I've had the option to do broadcasting for X1. It's like, no, I want to stick with X3. But you can go higher than X3. X2 and X1 are considered higher up, and one of the ways to move up, is to showcase better skills, obviously. Winning the championship is almost a surefire way to move up the order to X2.
Or showing true pace.
We need to be... we need to be, this is a lot of responsibility, Torpedo. My hands are shaking right now, because depending on what we say, that might have a knock-on effect on how the championship plays out. The Ferrari fan in me says, go ahead, throw it on pole position and winner, because I have confidence in the Ferrari boys, but, my hands are metaphorically shaking here. This is a lot of response. Oh, Jesus Christ! And Stone Shuffle very nearly runs into the Williams, and that was... Who was that? I think that was Neon.
Yeah, it was Neon.
Yeah, it was Neon. He had just set a fastest lap the lap before, and then had a spin coming out of the Wall of Champions chicane. That came very, very close to upsetting the entire qualifying session, honestly. We turn our focus back onto the track. As of now, 14 drivers have set a lap time. Fiend is coming across the line to be the 15th. He will be able to set a lap time in that Alpine with a time of 1:10.972. That's the 7th fastest thus far. So as it is right now, Constant Jet is still in pit lane and has yet to get onto the circuit. XRL Flavor is on the bubble with a 1:12.007, but he has ripped off his front wing somewhere, and he will be coming in to repair that damage.
The top, from 1st to 11th, they're all within a second. That is, wow. And then the top 3, the gap between them two, them three is it's very close. And it's only Q1.
The range from 1st to 3rd alone is only 43 thousandths of a second. And everyone between 1st and 8th is within half a second themselves. Although V Irons just now breaks that, he goes even faster with a 1:10.245. If this keeps up, we might see someone break the 1:10 barrier today.
Yeah.
And now Irons invalidates on his cooldown lap. Well, as it stands right now, I think if you're amongst the top 11 qualifiers, so basically Stone Shuffle and up, you're good, you're locked into Q2. Right now, it's Flavor versus Constant Jet, and then if those two of them really start performing great, Books, Oceanline, and Gussie might be at risk. That's a big might. It's only one of these drivers down at the bottom of the field who won't make it. And here we are, Constant Jet is finally getting out onto the circuit. I was going to do this earlier, but then Lopez was nice enough and shared the Driver 61 promotion with us. But we'll go ahead and we will ride on board silently for a lap with Constant Jet, so you really get an idea what it's like running around Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve here in Montreal, Canada, on board one of our X3 drivers. So ride on board with the Alpine and go silent for a lap in a little bit more. Well, so much for that. It seems like he's invalidated the lap relatively early on. I will have another shot right afterwards, and we'll try riding on board with that when that goes through. Most of the field, though, is currently in pit lane because they know there's not any real risk for the majority of them getting knocked out. The shootout for the moment is between Flavor and Constant Jet, and in Flavor's pit box in the AlphaTauri camp, they're still replacing that front wing damage that he took. He's gone out there, set one lap, tried to go out and go faster, and had an accident right away. So
it looks like the race is going to start off wet and it goes to dry, according to Mantic Meerkat in the X3 driver lounge on Discord. So, gonna be spite. This race is gonna be quite interesting, as it seems.
All right, and that's a full lap on board with Constant Jet. But no, you make a great point. If you're going to have a wet to dry race, you may still want to run with a dry setup. The counterpoint to that, though, is that if you have a dry setup, it's going to be a lot harder to keep the car on the track. And this circuit, it kind of feels sometimes like a hybrid of a street course and a proper road course, because there are a lot of places here where walls are all over the place. Also, Constant Jet, first lap, invalid. Second lap, only a 1:14.249. He does not seem very comfortable or confident in that Alpine whatsoever. Flavor is not known to be a great qualifier, but Flavor is the only driver in the 112s. Constant Jet is 2.25 seconds off of Flavor's time right now. I also saw that Alpine strike the wall at about 2 different scenarios during his laps, so he's also very low on fuel, and there's not a whole lot of time left. I see Flavor out on the circuit right now. He's trying to go faster to try and lock himself in, but I think it's not looking likely for Constant right now.
Yeah. Like, he needs to gain, I think, like a whole, like, 2 seconds. So I don't think he has, like, I don't think he has the time to go in the pits and then go back out again, so.
Also, while that went on, a Ferrari went ahead and jumped to the top of the timesheets, but it's not your championship leader, Chubby Spark. And Flavor invalidates, but it doesn't matter because it looks like he's going to be in because time is up.
Yeah, Constant Jet's just going slowly anyway, so, and going back into the pit lane, so that is hit. That's it. Session's done for him. Flavor will go through.
And Schumacher SF7 ends up on top of the timesheets with a 1:10.115. So 3 drivers have really set themselves apart at the end of Q1. That's Schumacher, V8 Irons, and XRL Fiend. They're the only ones to get into the 110.2s or 110.1s. So.
Well, this will settle up. Like Gusty validated, but that well, Nissan didn't improve much. Ocean Line is down, I think, by 4 seconds. He goes into the pit lane. So there we are. I think now we're just gonna have to wait for Ocean Lines. Oh wait, there we go. And quickly run down as Schumacher top of the timesheets from V8 Irons in second, Fiend in third, Mr. Neon fourth, Ross in fifth, IXR Mars Bar in sixth, Chubby IX Spark in seventh, Books in eighth, ninth Mantic Bearcat, 10th is Snake, 11th one Nissan GTR, 12th Ocean Line, 13th Stone Shuffle, 14th Gusty, 15th Flavor, Constant Jet, Boofy, Cowboy, Plastic Love, all getting eliminated from Q1.
Alright. So I will say this also, if we're going to have a wet to start to the race, you have to wonder if that means that there is a threat of rain coming down in Q3. It doesn't even have to be right at the start of Q3. If we start with a dry, if this track is dry at the start of qualifying session 3, but then wettens up, we may see a scenario where what many driver set as their banker lap might be the only proper lap they're able to set to go for the pole. So if that happens, that could end up being very interesting. All right, I'm seeing a lot of movement right now in the Red Bull pit, but it's not going to be him who gets out first. It is going to be the same driver it was in the last session. That will be Mantic Meerkat in the Haas. First to the track session 1, first to the track session 2. I'm seeing a little bit more movement behind. I think that is Ross. No, it's actually Snake. I'm sorry. Snake is coming out onto the circuit. Now in the McLaren. Snake is a veteran of X3. He's been with us for a while in this division. Trying to bring home bacon for the McLaren camp. Right now, the only driver who has the medium tires equipped, though, is V8 Irons. Everyone else apparently has the softs on. It's Wild Nissan GTR and XRL Gusty who have both now gotten out onto the circuit as well. They are beginning to warm up. Shelby Spark has now gotten onto the circuit as he exits Sector 1. I'm now seeing movement out of the Mercedes camp. That will be Stone Shuffle, one of your championship contenders, who is now coming out onto the circuit. Mantic Meerkat now crosses the start-finish line. He will set the lap time that everyone else will be chasing at the start. But again, a very weird scenario. Everyone is on soft tires right now, with the exception of Irons, and Irons hasn't even left pit lane yet.
It looks like it's starting to get dark as well on the track, so could we be seeing some rain coming?
If we end up with rain in this qualifying session, it's going to really upset the balance of things because drivers won't have a chance to go onto a different tire strat. I know Shelby Spark has made a habit of going out there, saying a banker lap on the soft tire compounds, and then going absolutely mental and pushing harder on the mediums after that. But if we get rain in this session, he won't be able to do that. DRS is extremely essential here. Not having DRS will make you about 10 seconds slower around this circuit. It would take a 70-second lap and make it closer to an 81-second lap here. So. Alright, Meerkat crosses the line, and he will set a time of 1:10.873 to start off Q2. Now here comes XRL Snake. He will cross the line with a time of 1:10.956. Now here comes Wild Nissan GTR. He will go ahead in the AlphaTauri and set a time that is not valid. He invalidated his lap time, sadly. So that means that it goes to, I believe, Shelby Spark to be the next driver to set a lap time here. And he hit the wall of champion. The car's not damaged, but that invalidated his lap and will invalidate his next one as well.
Oh. Only like V8 Irons is the only one. Like he's fitted mediums, but like you don't really want to do like it's gonna be wet at the start of the race. Strategy's not gonna matter because you're gonna be starting on either the intermediates or the wets, like one of the two. And then you'll pull it, and then you'll probably switch to the dry tires. So I don't know what the logic is there, but we'll see what happens.
Irons might be hoping that he can save an extra set of softs for the race itself. Depending on when the rain goes away in the race, we may have to see 2 pit stops for 2 different sets of soft tires in the event. He might be trying to do that. That would be a gigantic brain strategy that would only work if everything times out perfectly. And I don't think I'd have confidence in that. It looks like Irons is neither. He's now swapped on to equipping soft tires.
Yeah.
Alright, here comes Mr. Neon to the line. He will be the 5th driver to set a lap time, and will be a time of 1:10.529, just 6 thousandths off the Meerkat's time thus far.
Very close it seems today in the qualifying times so far. So we're probably looking likely we could be seeing a very interesting race.
Alright, here comes XRL Flavor now, out of the wall Champion chicane. As the sixth driver set a lap time in the section, he will put down a time of 1:12.248.
Yeah, I think he got a bit like mucked up with the final chicane as he just spins at the exit of turn 2.
Right on board with IXR Marsvar as he is on the run down the first of the 2 front straightaways and then dives into the high-speed World Champion chicane. Very straight, carries a lot of speed in the middle, and Eckstein, he will set a time of 1:10.145, so he wasn't one of the fastest at the end of Q1, but he's saying himself as one of the fastest here in Q2, it would appear. And he really underfueled that car because already the fuel light is flashing. He's probably not going to get a chance to go for another lap. Stone Shuffle crosses the line and improves up to 4th with a 1:10.571, but it's going to be this man here in the other McLaren, Ross G2288, who will set the next lap time here. 1:10.328, so it looks like the times are significantly starting to fall now. The 2 drivers at the top are not drivers we saw competing at the top of the timesheets in the prior session. Schumacher, Irons, and Chubby are all on out laps. Fiend has invalidated his lap at the Wall of Champions, so that's 2 laps that he's basically going to lose here. Gusty has invalidated his lap as well, as Irons has just crossed the line to begin his lap. Chubby is currently on the run down to the World Champion chicane, but I'm more interested in Irons. One of the fastest at the end of Q1. What can he do here in Q2?
Chubby IX Spark is on the track, and he's going to go again after validating validating the last 2 laps.
Alright. As of now, Irons is the only representation for the Aston Martin team in Q2, as his teammate Boothie had to serve a qualifying ban, so he's basically carrying the entire weight of the team on his shoulders right now! Very, very track abusive going through the World Champion chicane, but it's legal and it's good enough for 6 with a 1:10.819. So now the focus goes to Chubby Spark. He'll be the next driver to cross the line. He just barely grazed the wall there, but unlike last time, he kept it clean. Second fastest, 1:10.232.
And his teammate Schumacher's just coming through the hairpin now, heading onto the back of the final straight.
Oh, and Chubby spins, or comes to almost a complete stop afterwards. But here comes second in your championship fight, XRL Gusty. He's coming in the Wall of Champion chicane, preparing to set a lap here. He does not feel confident in that Red Bull going through it. He came really slow coming out of it. Only a 1:11.740. As it stands right now, that's not going to be good enough, especially when Schumacher just put a time down of 1:10.614. Ocean Lion's lap is invalidated right now, and XRL Fiend is still in the pit. So as it stands right now, it's the Haas of XXX Bucks XXX, who is on the bubble with Nissan, Gusty, and Flavor all on the outside looking in. I'm following Ocean Line right now. He's running right behind an AlphaTauri and the Ferrari. He's backing off a bit on the straightaway here. He's going to take it a little bit slow going in the Wall of Champion chicane, so that way he can carry more speed coming out. But while Nissan had the same idea, so they both are screwing over each other's lap times now. Ocean Lion had to back out of it because he didn't want to get penalized for being in the draft of Wild Nissan. That's not going to help his chances. We do still have 5 minutes left, but in general, it takes you about 3.5 minutes to get a single lap in, simply because of all the time it takes to get out on track, do a warm-up, do a lap, and then do a cool-down. I think Lyon's going to have to abort this lap
I think he's already
and come
aborted.
into the pits. Yeah.
Because his ERS is still at 100. So you think he's just doing another, like, outlap just to make sure those tyres are proper warmed up. And then he'll go for the real one.
Yeah, right now, everyone in the top 9 are setting in the pits. Dusty is also setting in the pits, so the track is relatively clean right now. I don't know how long it's going to stay that way. The good news is, for Flavor and Fiend, it's relatively clear track for them. As Fiend now crosses the line, Fiend, I know we were saying it's basically a 3-man championship fight. I do think that Fiend has a chance to do it. He has the pace and speed, but he's lacked consistency. I think the biggest hallmark of that was when he was dominating the Zandvoort race until he crashed out with about 5 laps to go. And if not for that, he would have closed himself massively in the championship fight. I think Fiend has a chance to go for a title, but he cannot afford any mistakes from this point of the season on.
Yeah. Like, I think, like, Fiend's, like, he hasn't, like, been in the top 10 since Hungary, and when he got first. So, yeah. Bit unfortunate, but hopefully he can turn things around today.
Well, a good way to start getting that turned around would be to properly make Q3, and I think he's en route to do so. Here he comes to the line. XRL Fiend will set a lap time of 1:10.015. That takes him to the top of the timesheets here in Q2. Ocean Lion did not come into the pits. He's just continued to stick with it. These tires have got to be falling off, but the track is clear around him right now. As long as he does not invalidate in the World Champion chicane, we'll see a proper lap time. He invalidates in the World Champion chicane. So that, and he was up, but the time he set was only a 1:12.282, so that still would have left him down there in 15th. With 2 minutes and 18 seconds left, I'm going to be honest, unless they really overfilled that car, I don't think there's any way that Ocean Lion has a chance to make it into Q3 at this point.
Yeah.
And V8 Irons, who set a respectable lap time earlier of a 1:10.819, he has now fallen to being the driver on the bubble, and it's Snake and Wild Nissan GTR a little bit farther back on the track who is trying to chase him down. Gusty as well is trying to do the same. He's one of your championship contenders. That car does not look very confident, though, throughout the chicanes in Sector 2 at the moment. One other thing I think is really impressive right now, the top 11 drivers are all within 9/10 of a 95 hundredths of each other.
Yeah.
So,
It's very tight. One Nissan's in the pits, lets him out. Ocean Line's going into the pits, lets him out.
Gusty aborted the lap he was on, pulled totally off at the hairpin, and now that the track is cleared up a bit ahead, he's going to go. He's only going to have one serious lap at this. So as right now, it's Gusty versus V8 Irons, and Irons has invalidated the lap he's currently in the middle of. So for Irons, although right now he's good, there's no guarantee that Gusty's not going to do anything. He's going to be racing to get to the start-finish line to try and squeeze one more lap in.
Yeah.
Flavor is on his final lap as well. He is one of only 2 drivers that are still outside the 111 barrier. But again, like I've said many times before, Flavor is kind of like the inverse Boothie, and Flavor invalidates, so he's not making it. But Flavor is kind of like the inverse Boothie. Boothie performs absolutely outstanding feats in qualifying, feats that we would never ever expect. But then he kind of falls off in the race. Flavor is the exact opposite. He is very, very poor at qualifying, but in the race he pulls out some amazing feats and frequently finds himself in points-paying positions, even though he doesn't often have the pace to be there. So I do think that Flavor has a chance to rebound in the race itself. Ocean Lion has already retired from the session. So we know that Flavor is going to be starting 14th. So right now it's Gusty versus Irons. Gusty just has 2 straightaways and the chicane to get through before we see his lap. V8 Irons, did he make it to the line in time? The answer is yes. He is up by over 1/3 of a second right now. So Gusty better have a massive time.
No.
He invalidates. That's it.
Oh.
And he's into the wall. Hard, and he's out.
I think that might have been out of genuine anger there.
I don't know, it looked like the rear end slid out from him and the nose gripped up and went right into the inside wall, and he went hard into the inside wall in the middle of his final lap.
And V8 Irons invalidated.
Well, that means that the session is over. So XRL Gusty crashing out of his one attempt, his one final attempt to get into Q3, and that's going to have major championship implications.
Yeah.
All right, there's your lineup. Go ahead. You can go ahead and run us through the top 10 drivers who make it into Q3 here.
Right. Top of the time. Top is Fiend. In first with IXR Mars Bar in second. Third is XXX Books XXX. Then it's fourth is Chubby IX Spark. Fifth is Ross G2 200 well 2288. Sixth is Mantic Meerkat 77. Seventh is Mr. Neon 713. Eighth is Schumacher SF7. Ninth is Stone Shuffle. 10th is V8 Irons.
All right, and now time for the pole shootout. One thing that of note is the drivers we saw at the top of the timesheets at the end of Q1 are not the drivers we saw at the top of the timesheets at the end of Q2. So and we didn't exactly have any tire strategy shenanigans either. So I don't really know, out of these 10 drivers, I don't really know who's going to actually get to pole position or not. I really think this could be basically anybody.
Yeah, like, especially the fact that we saw, like, how close, like, Q1 and Q2's been so far.
Yeah, the top 10 drivers who make it into this, they were all separated by only about 9/10ths at the end of Q2. And for, like, the drivers here who have teammates, I'm talking primarily about the Ferraris, but all you need to do is just get a toe off of your teammate, and boom, you can easily make up 9/10ths if you get a good toe going down the 2 main straights and don't sacrifice your lap in the World Championship chicane.
Yeah.
Well, once again, and this has been a constant throughout all 3 qualifying sessions, the first driver to get out onto the track, it's the Haas of Mantic Meerkat. Also, I do want to say this, I'm very sorry. His name is Mantic Meerkat 77. I keep saying Mantic Meerkat 77. I'm not trying to butcher your name. For whatever reason, my mind sees Meerkat and it wants to flip the R and the K. I do not know why, but it does. His name is Mantic Meerkat, not Meerkat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alright, so here we are, the 2 Ferraris. It's Schumacher leading Chubby at the line. So we know that they are playing a little bit of drafting games with each other. Schumacher trying to give a toe to his championship-contending teammate, Chubby Spark, right now. Schumacher was at the top at the end of Q1. Chubby was near the top at the end of Q2. Oh, but Chubby's into the wall farther back. And he's invalidated. Chubby has invalidated, so now it's Schumacher all on his own. He doesn't have to worry about pulling a toe for the car behind. It's all him right now. He'll be the second driver to set a lap time here. Everyone except Stone Shuffle is currently out on the circuit.
Oh, Chubby's invalidated his lap.
Yeah, he hit the wall there in Sector 1 while staying in the aerodynamic wake of his teammate Schumacher, so he's backing way off to try and get a clear track, so he's not going to be able to get a draft off of Schumacher on the following lap. It's all going to have to be his own ability.
V8
coming to the line.
invalidated.
Meerkat, 111.042. Schumacher, though, will go even faster than that with a time of 110.199. Here comes Fiend to the line, 111.033. And now here comes Books, 110.026. That puts him at the top. No one's broken the 110 barrier yet, but it's looking more and more likely as Mr. Neon crosses the line to begin his lap. Chubby aborted his lap altogether and came to the pit, so he's going to wait until the track is a little bit cleaner, I'm guessing, as we now see IXR Marsbar cross the line, and he will do it with an invalid lap. He invalidated going through the Wall of Champions, so that's 2 laps taken away from him. Ross G2288 will set a 110.094. He wasn't really the fastest in either of the prior 2 sessions, but now he's showing his strength here in Q3. Mr. Neon will be the next driver to set a lap time. He's currently in the chicane at the end of the back stretch, and now on the run down to the hairpin. Now coming onto the first of the 2 front straightaways. DRS is open. He has enough ERS that if he chooses, he could go for another lap right afterwards. Very smooth through the Wall of Campus chicane. Neon will set a lap time of 110.599. That's the 5th fastest we've seen thus far. Chubby IX Spark is now finally out on the circuit. He is running behind. I believe that's XRL Fiend up there, but Fiend is on a cooldown lap and will move aside to let Chubby go.
Yeah, his back end was going all over the place, Fiend, while he was letting Chubby pass. Chubby always.
And that's a Haas? Is that a Haas? That is a Haas!
It's Books.
Books, who has the fastest time thus far, has had a spin coming onto the backstretch DRS zone. I'm trying to see if there's any damage to that car. I don't think there is, but he is out of fuel as well. Or very low on fuel. Not out, but very low on fuel as well. So he's going to have to come in here regardless.
Yeah. Alright.
Stone Shuffle is now finally filing out of pit lane, and it's going to be relatively good for him because although he'll have to let Chubby Spark by, it looks like the track is going to be very clean around that Mercedes. Chubby now beginning his lap. He's going to have to forego having a tow from his teammate. He has to do it all on his own here. .577 at the end of Sector 1. Now going into Sector 2. Ross! Ross has done it! Ross breaks the 110 barrier, 109.794. .594 for Shelby at the end of Sector 2. I think Shelby will have a good time, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get him into the 109. He had to do a lot of micro adjustments with the wheel coming out of the hairpin. Now he's coming down to the Wall Champion chicane. He hit the wall, but he's still on. It did not invalidate at the line. It will be in the 110s, 110.615. It's not a great lap.
There can be some improvement from Chubby in his opinion as well. I think he might have enough time. He might have enough time to come in, get a new set of tires if there is any, and go again.
Stone Shuffle is going to go around. He was on a good lap, and he spins all on his own, and this is going to be a spin right in front of Chubby. I think Chubby's on a cooldown lap, but for Stone Shuffle, frustration on his part, because there's not a whole lot of time left in this session right now. Chubby has invalidated his lap. I think he's on a cooldown irregardless. Marsbar is out on circuit, trying to get going. If he can make this work, he'll be the 8th driver to set a lap time here. Although, interestingly enough, Stone Shuffle is still in the middle of a valid lap time, But with that spin, yeah, it will be valid, but it's not going to be competitive whatsoever. V8 Irons is also now finally on the circuit. Irons, one of the 3 fastest in Q1, but barely made it into Q2. Let's see if Q3 is closer to Q1 or Q2 for him. .713 at the end of Sector 2 for Irons. Mr. Neon is now broken the 110 barrier as well. He is up to a 109.879. And coming to the line is Irons. He will finish the session with a time of 110.135. That's the 4th fastest thus far. Mars Bar is the only driver left to set a time, but he's invalidated another lap, sadly. Stone Shuffle en route to a proper lap time now, laying hard on the ERS going down the front straightaways.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look, very nice on the final chicane. And not only 9th with a 1 minute 10.961.
So it seems like that Mercedes just isn't very comfortable. But here's the other thing. We heard it earlier. We're anticipating the race to start wet and then go dry. We may see some of these drivers who are struggling out there dealing with a hybrid setup or a full wet setup, and that may be where they're losing time.
Yeah.
All right, Mars Bar is in the middle of another lap. He's the only driver thus far who have not set a time in the session. Very close to the wall there, exiting the chicane at the end of the DRS back straightaway. Now he dives into the hairpin. Very smooth on the wheel. Not a lot of micro adjustments, so at least at low speeds, he seems to have confidence in that Alfa Romeo. What about here at the World Champion chicane? That was a stupid amount of speed he carried on exit. And there it is, 110.588, and Irons has retired in pit lane, so he feels that he can't improve from that 110.135.
What can Schumacher do? He's in the 2nd sector, heading up to the hairpin. What is it? He's 3 temps up. Well, nearly 4 temps up, in fact. As he goes around the hairpin, heading onto the back straight.
If he can keep that up, that would put him in the 109 range. Also, Mantic Meerkat is back out onto the circuit in the middle of another lap. Less than a minute left in the session.
Will also be keen to see what his teammate Chubby Alex Spark will do as well. He is also on a lap. Schumacher up to the line. 1 minute 9.768.
He took the straightest line I think I've ever seen through World Champion chicane. I honestly was shocked he didn't invalidate or hit the wall, but he stuck with it. He's on provisional pole now, but there's still a lot of drivers who could take it from him. Ross is in the middle of another lap right now, and Chubby Spark is on the run to the line as well.
Chubby, I think, is like 2 temps up as well on his lap. As he comes across the line. Actually, never
He's
mind.
to the top.
He goes top. So far, it looks like a Ferrari front row walkout in Canada.
But
and
there
the
are
checker
still
flag
two
is
drivers.
now out.
Books has invalidated his lap. Ross is down by 22 thousandths at the moment. What about Fiend? Fiend is down by 3 seconds. He is out of fuel. Can Ross make up extra time?
No,
no, he's around.
died.
He's into the inside wall. Hard into the wall. There's damage on the car. His lap is over. And at the end of it all, it's going to be a Ferrari 1-2 with your championship leader taking the point.
Nice. Well, that is very well done. That very good job from the Ferrari team. Both of them, like, it's into the 109s, and it's actually like it's very close in like 9. Look at that, like 9 milliseconds pretty much between the two Ferraris. So nothing can separate them. But it's Chubby that will be leading the Canadian Grand Prix. So that is one. That's one done. That's one thing they've done right in this session. Now it's up to the race to see what they can do.
Schumacher showed his strength in qualifying session 1. Chubby showed his in qualifying session 2. And when everything needed to perform, they pulled out all the stops in Q3. Okay, so I do want to go ahead. There is still that driver 61 promotion to talk about. Do we want to consider giving 50 points to Chubby, or do we want to wait until we see who gets driver of the day and fastest lap in the race?
Yeah, I think wait for that, and then we can make our decision. And also pick. It could be a difficult one as well because we could pick the race winner, and then but like the race winner could be like different after the instant report comes out. So, but that's one thing to take into account. But I think just wait till we'll wait to the end of the race, see what the results are like, and then go from there.
Well, I think irregardless of what happens, I think it should be the race winner who gets it. Gets 50 points irregardless. I think it's more of a question of who should get the other 50 points from the Driver 61 Academy. Should it be your pole sitter with a very well-earned pole? Yeah. Should it be fastest lap or in the race? Or should it be, and there's your top 10 results, or should it be driver of the day? And even if it's driver of the day, it's going to be driver of the day based on who gets voted by the drivers, or driver of the day based off of what the game gives. So anyways, at the top, it's Chubby, Spark, and Schumacher leading the field. Ferrari 1-2, Ross G2288 in the McLaren 3rd, Mr. Neon 713 4th in the Williams, XXX Books XXX 5th in the Haas, Fiend is 6th in the Alpine, Irons is 7th in the Aston Martin, Mantic Meerkat is 8th in the Haas, IXR Mars Bar is 9th in the Alfa Romeo, and Stone Shuffle is 10th with the Mercedes. All right, so now we have a 5-minute break until we get into the race itself. Wet start. Both Ferrari drivers 1-2, so I think it's going to be really good for them. As long as neither of them have a collapse and don't get going off the line, they should be able to sail off relatively well at the front. So what is the strategy for the rest of the field going to be then?
Well, it basically depends, like, though, how long it is the rain's gonna last for. Like, it could last a large chunk of the race, meaning like you could just do softs at the end, or it could end like quite early on in the race, and you'll have to do like a medium pit stop, like pit for mediums or hards. Preferably not to pit on the hards, but mainly the mediums. So it's a big curveball when it comes to the wet weather. It is intermediate, so they'll skip one, so they don't have to go to start on the wet, so they go pit to inters and then dries. So yeah, mainly I think it could be well, it will probably be intermediates to mediums or intermediates to softs, depending on when this rain ends.
In your opinion, what would be the ideal time that you'd want to see the rain go away if you wanted to do a one stop to the end on softs? Would you want it to be the track to dry out with 7 to go, 11 laps to go? Like, what would we be looking for ideally?
The track to probably like dry out with like 12 to 8 laps to go, preferably, or even less than that. Like, to like basically just go for a pit, like just to like, if it's like 4 laps, then I don't think there's any point maybe pitting for the softs. Dependent, like if you're like in the lead of the race and you've got quite a good gap, then and you're confident enough to finish the race in the inters, then you can go for it. But like obviously, or it could like, but it might turn out like a Canada 2011 or Russia 2021 situation there.
reminder, in Canada 2021, it was a excessively long race, and Jenson Button ended up coming from the very back all the way to the front to take the victory. I know there are a lot of people, myself included, who thinks Jenson Button kind of lucked into a good seat with that championship he earned in 2009, but there is no doubting the man's immense quality and talent that he had during the V8 era between 2009 and 2013. Second most wins of the entire grid during that 5-year period, more than anyone except Sebastian Vettel. So
Like the fact they managed to win that, like win the championship with a Brawn, with a car that was deemed not as good, I think. Like, it's quite impressive.
Yeah, we all know the story of Braun, how like in the first about 40% of the season they dominated and won like 8 of the first 9 races of the year. But then, although the other Braun driver, who is no slouch in his own right, which would be
Rubens Barrichello,
he was able to take home some victories later on. The big thing is that Braun was able to lock up manufacturers and drivers championship despite basically having no real upgrades to the car in the mid-season while everyone else closed in. By the end, Braun was not the fastest car on the grid anymore. They were most definitely closer to only the 3rd or 4th best car on the grid. Alright, well, we should be getting underway in a little bit here. So looking at the Discord real quickly, Gusty says that he may be stuck as AI at race start, so that could be very interesting. Per usual, I'm just going to ask, would you be willing to focus on the rear and cut in if anything significant happens?
Indeed, as always.
All right, as we are now less than 10 seconds away from the race start. Ferrari won 2, but now they need to get off the line without making any mistakes as we turn our cameras to the front of the grid, and we're prepared to get underway here at Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. There are 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's lights out. Away we go here, and the entire grid seemed to get out relatively well. I see an AlphaTauri spinning back there.
Flavor.
Chubby takes an early lead. Ross gets by Schumacher. Schumacher very nearly wrecked in the middle of a 3-wide battle. He falls to 3rd, though. And he's really having trouble keeping that car together. That thing is having a lot of wheel spin coming out of the corners at the moment. But there's a lot of action going on further back in the ground scene. 2 and 3 wide all the way through the field. Marsbar is going after Books right now on the run down the chicane, but Mars is into the wall. Mars is into the wall, still sticking it to the inside of Books. He makes contact. He spins right in front of the McLaren, and he's going to block a 1/3 of the track in the process.
And then the rest of the grid managed to get past that very much okay. Thompson Jack's going to be going side by side with Plastic Love on the back straight, and he gets that move down the other side. Very well done from him, and he's up to P15.
Stone Shuffle has fallen to P11. He's going to try and make one of these positions up on the Haas, taking the tighter inside line, going to the hairpin. That's going to give him a wheel spin.
He's overshot the hairpin. He's going to fall to 18th and then immediately get past Flavor. I think his brake, I think his setup is not really good for this track, but not really good for the wax, but judging by the fact of his braking into the hairpin. Unless he must have caught too much overspeed, so very unfortunate.
Oh, Books went off and now going through the wall championship chicane, and he gave up positions accordingly. He has now fallen to 6th. Oh no! And Books is into the wall, and he's out! He's out, and there's an Aston Martin there as well. That's Irons. And that will be a virtual safety car. But Books and Irons involved in an accident, and Books is your first DNF of the day. Irons is taking him a long time to get going again, and that's a full course safety car.
We'll try and get him in.
Try and get Books. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get Books in.
Yeah.
saw that Books went wide going through the Wall of Champions chicane and gave up a position to XRL Snake, but as he was trying to get going again, it looked like he spun up the rear tires and went right to the inside wall, and there was nowhere for Irons to go. Yeah, but it's a full course safety car. So now the question becomes, does anyone bother to pit outside of obviously Irons, who's going to need to replace damage?
Oh.
I don't think anyone's going to be pitting, honestly. Maybe Mars Bar. I don't know if he has any damage to his car after he had that spin earlier. V8 Irons is obviously going to have to pit because he has no front wing. I don't think we're going to be going green, sadly, until about lap 5. Either lap 4 or 5. I think it's going to be 5.
Yeah.
There's word Mars Bar is coming into the pits, so I'm wondering if there is damage to that car that we just aren't able to see. Yep, indeed, they're replacing the entire front wing assembly now. And threw on a new set of intermediate tires. And he's underway. And obviously, for V8 Irons, made it into the top 10 in qualifying, but fell through the order after being involved in an accident with Books. Not had any luck getting Books into the party. I'm going to try one more time inviting him. What? Ocean Lion, Collie Boy, and Constant Jet are having a little bit of a weird kerfluffery back there in the middle of the field.
Actually, no, Collie Boy spun round.
He
spun round. He's lost his wing.
And that's in the wet conditions. Now, he had a weird scenario. When I last saw him, he had his wing, and he was there with Ocean Lion and Constant Jet. And they all kind of like took really weird lines coming out from the backstretch chicane. Whatever happened to Collie Boy, he put the power down, I'm guessing, and went right around to the wall. Thankfully, he's still in the race. The bad news for him, though, is that he's going to have to pit and put on a new front wing. This will obviously relegate Collie Boy to the back of the grid as well. Alright, so that's Marsvar who's going to come by. So now both of the Alfa Romeos are no better than 16th at the moment. Now we see V8 Irons go ahead by. Your championship leader, Shelby Smart, has had an accident out of the front of the lead. He has wrecked out of the lead of this race under the safety car. But the car is still in one piece. It's still okay. There's no damage on it as far as we can see. Will he be allowed to move back up to the lead?
See the wall again.
Will he be allowed to move back up to the field, or is he now regulated to 14th? Because if he's relegated to 14th, that's going to be huge for the championship for drivers like Stone Shuffle and Gusty. I don't see him moving back up to the grid, so this may be it. That spin they had may have just put a huge hole in his championship hopes. Now, he's come back from worst, but this is going to be very, very difficult for him. This also puts Ross, G2288, in the race lead. We should be going green this lap, I imagine.
It'll be very late as well. If it does, when some of these drivers
Yep,
participate.
there it is. Safety car in this lap.
Collie Boy! He misjudged his braking. He's just went very far off with the hairpin. Gained a lot of positions, which he's given them back. Obviously, obviously we've seen this.
Yeah, we're going green now.
In the realistic race last night, we've seen this as well. Like, it went very late, but it continued around the track. But luckily, it's gone into the pits this time.
Ross backing up the entire field, coming to the green. Schumacher right on his rear, and now he shoots off into the Wall of Champions chicane and misses it. He botched the Wall of Champions chicane, and now Schumacher has to hold up to his not overtake him before the line, and that's stacking up the entire front half of the field right now.
Chubby is going into the pit, so he has front wing damage on him.
Plastic Love has had an accident right off the start.
Yeah, he has. That's unfair and unfortunate for the Ferrari. He's now going to be at the back of the field.
Snake has had an incident of his own. Now he's plummeting through the grid all the way down to 7th. Fiend has worked his way up into the 4th position now. Chubby in the pits is going to fall all the way to the back of the grid. It's going to be a very rough race for him. So carrying the Ferrari torch now is Schumacher, and it is a stack up for the entire top 11 right now, all on top of each other. No DRS, remember, in the rain there is no DRS. Every overtake you see is either proper driver ability or capitalizing on someone else's misfortunes. Ocean Lion has a huge run on Wild Nissan, going down to the hairpin. He looks to the inside, but he's not close enough to make the move stick. A little bit farther up, though, Gusty gets really sideways, putting the power down, and steps his car out sideways. Now Snake in the McLaren is able to get by. It is a drag race on the run down to the World Champion chicane. Someone's going to have to brake early, and they have to decide soon. And it's going to be Gusty who's around. He's around right in the middle of the field at the World Champions. He didn't hit anything, though. Oh, wow, comes right across Boothby. But he's good. He will be able to continue. So now both Red Bulls have been relegated out of the points-paying positions. And the only championship contender who is still in the points-paying spots right now is Stone Shuffle and Fiend. Meerkat gets by Fiend. Stone Shuffle.
Oh, Boofy!
He's trying.
Boofy had lost a back end, heading out of the chicane, the first chicane in the first sector, and yeah, lost a few positions because of it. Now we're down
that will
into
bring
13th.
Collie Boy. That will bring Collie Boy into play for that 13th position. Boothie, another rear end slide there, coming out of the backstretch chicane now. And Ross, your race leader, Ross, has spun coming out of the hairpin. So in the 6 laps, we've had 3 different leaders because the first 2 have both spun out of the race lead. A Ferrari once again takes the point. It is Schumacher SF7 with Mr. Neon right behind, putting pressure on him. Fiend comes into the pits now. Did he get damaged somewhere? Is this part of some grand strategy?
Yeah, he's got damage. No, actually, no, he's not. No, Ross has got damage. Ross has got damage on the wing. I think he went into the back of Boofy. Because Boofy, I think, lost the back end heading out of the final chicane.
Boofy seems to be struggling, keeping the rear end on that car all around the circuit. Fiend also came to the pit to repair damage, so now the only championship contender in the points-paying positions right now is Stone Shuffle. All of your other 3 championship contenders are no better than 14th right now. Ross goes off circuit as Boothby gets by. Now Gusty sneaks by Ross. Here comes Flavor. Flavor wants to take a free position if he can get it as well.
I think Flavor might hold back for the time being because he knows he'll have to pit if he's going wide every corner. You can tell he'll probably have front wing damage, so he'll just hang back and then wait for that opportunity when he pits. Or if he sees another opportunity, Boothby's went wide again at the hairpin.
And that will give the position now to Gusty.
Oh,
so
Flavor's
Gusty
gone.
is starting to climb back up into the
Flavor went for a spin on the exit of the hairpin.
This track is one of the few circuits that Flavor has not been able to successfully finish a race at. He's normally very good at finishing races, but it's just not worked out for him here. Still having a lot of trouble putting power down. Boothby and Ross finally both come into the pits to repair damage. The one thing this has helped, though, is that it's helped Chubby. Chubby had to pit coming to the green to repair damage. He is on relatively fresh tires, and he is not being held up by everyone else's issues. Although he is obviously losing pace to the race leader, compared to Fiend, he's ahead of Fiend, and he's ahead of Gusty. And now Schumacher, another race leader, has spun out of the race lead. So now, every single overtake we've had for a lead has been because the leader has had an incident. Now, it's Mr. Neon who is leading. Both Ferraris are out of the points, and now Mantic Meerkat is right behind Mr. Neon, ready to make a move.
I think, Fiend hit the wall. And whether it just at the end of the first sector, and I don't know if he might have front wing damage, I'm not sure. There's, I think, 5-second time titles gone for VAI, I think, for ignoring yellow flags. Let me just see what this was.
Side by side, fight for a lead coming down the World Championship chicane. Someone has to back out. Who's it gonna be? And it's gonna be Meerkat who backs out of it. He'll let Mr. Neon pull a little bit ahead because the Haas seems to be sliding out in the middle of this wet track. But that's something else I want to take note of right now. If you look on the onboards, there is no more rain falling from the sky. That means that the racing line is going to start drying out in the next 5 laps or so.
So it'll most likely be it'll be medium tyres that'll be fitted onto the cars, and then they'll probably go to the end, which we could see. Fiend and Chubby Alex Spark are looks like they're going to be having a nice battle at the moment for P13.
Boothie and Ross are also having their own nice little battle for 15th and 16th. But of note, 12th, 13th, 14th, all your championship contenders. Stone Shuffle, the only championship contender in points position. He's 4th right now. This would be huge for him for his championship hopes.
Yeah, you're seeing Ocean Lion in 6th. You got One Day Sun in 5th. Magic Meerkat 2nd, Snake 3rd. You got the grid is so much messed up right now. And I think it'll be
Alright, here we are for the lead.
More.
For the lead again, Mantic Meerkat has draft on Mr. Neon. He pulls to the inside. They're side by side, heading to the World Champions. Again, the Haas has to back out, but he's even closer this time than he was before. Irons overtakes Lion. Gusty gets by Schumacher. Neon still is leading, but Meerkat is coming with another head of steam.
Coming back.
On the braking into turn 1.
Schumacher's coming back down the inside. Oh, they touch. And Gusty slightly cut the second part of the chicane to stay side by side.
And now Shelby is closing in on them. He can see his teammate holding up his championship rival ahead. This is perfect Ferrari team strategy going on because Schumacher needs to keep Gusty from getting into the points because Shelby is coming quick. Just don't wreck each other, boys. Don't wreck each other.
You have to cut the corner.
Gusty did the Sebastian Vettel cut there, and that's going to let Shelby get by Gusty. Perfect team strategy there. He didn't wreck him, but he definitely made it hell, and that brought Shelby up into the 12th position now.
Yeah, not enough room to go side by side, and I think Gusty got no room. And now both Ferraris are now swapped positions. Now Chubby is up into P11, now given the opportunity to chase after the top 10 of Collie Boy.
Gusty, now he's going to have to try and get around Schumacher again here.
Well, the battle. This is very interesting.
And behind these two is Fiend, another championship contender, more of an outside championship threat, but still a championship threat. He's trying to close on this battle as well. But Schumacher is doing an amazing job playing the number 2 seat at the Ferrari. He just gave Gusty a 3-second time penalty. Schumacher slowed way down going to the World Championship game. Gusty had to slow down. He went offline and ended up getting a time penalty in the process. And the track is drying out very quickly. I think we're going to start seeing drivers come in to put on soft or medium tires in the next 2 laps. But at the front, it is Mr. Neon leading Mantic Meerkat, and Meerkat continues to stay close enough to put impressive pressure on the Williams. The Haas blows the hairpin that time, though. That will work out in Neon's favor. He'll be able to open the gap just a bit, but now Meerkat is on the ERS going down the straight. He's in the draft of Mr. Neon. There is no DRS yet, so he can only rely on ERS and draft. He's not going to be close enough to make a move going to the World Championship chicane, but he is close enough to continue to put pressure on your race leader.
Fiend, that looked a bit close. Gusty went very wide, and Fiend has got the opportunity.
Oh, wow! Side by side for 5th and 6th for the World Champions, and Nissan squeezes Irons into the wall, but they both got out of there okay. Nissan ahead of Irons for 5th.
Fiend ahead of Gusty for 13th as well. Gusty had a very bad hairpin, went very wide, which led the door to be firmly opened, but Fiend just takes the position basically. And he's now up at the 13th now, and he's now after Schumacher.
Chubby is walking away, but not walking away as fast as Fiend is closing. Schumacher now has to play defense against Fiend, who has been a little bit faster than Gusty today. And there's been an incident. That's Flavor, who's had another spin coming out of the hairpin. It's the second one today. Irons coming back on Wild Nissan. Irons is not happy with the way that Nissan squeezed them into the wall. It's going to be a drag race going down the first of the two straightaways. They make a little bit of contact, and Irons is ahead of Nissan with Mars Bars coming up with a huge head of steam compared to these two. Mars Bar easily overtakes Nissan down the straight. Not close enough to do anything to Irons there. Through the wall, champion chicane. He has to back out just a little bit. Can't close too much on Irons on this straightaway. It's just not long enough. Fiend has gotten by Schumacher, and now Gusty is fighting with him once more, and Schumacher into the wall of champions. He's able to continue, but that's it. His defense is over, but he held up both Fiend and Gusty for a long time. Fiend is now 3 seconds out. Gusty now made a mistake in turn one, and that let Schumacher get back by. Collie Boy gets ahead of Ocean Lion and Constant Jet, but now Collie Boy's gone off circuit, as is Ocean Lion. So both of those guys getting into it and going off circuit. Collie Boy, is there damage to that car? I can't tell. I don't think there's any, but he's very slow getting going again. He's gonna fall all the way down to 14th. That means that now Chubby Spark is up in the points in 9th now. All right, who's going to be the first driver to get into the pits and put on hard rubber instead of grooved rubber? Fiend slips ahead of Ocean Lion, so now Fiend is back into the points-paying positions. Shelby can see Constant Jet farther up. Shelby just being very slow, very methodical around the circuit right now. Ocean Lion, there's your answer. Ocean Lion will be the first driver to come into the pits, and we'll likely see him put on hard rubber here. Nope, Ocean Lion, they're putting on another set of intermediates apparently. So apparently the drivers think that the track is still wet enough to warrant keeping intermediates on. Irons still holding off Mars Bar and Wild Nissan behind, but most of the battles have dissolved a bit except for this. Meerkat has fallen off of Neon, and now Snake is catching the Haas for second. Chubby Spark, time penalty for track violations. He can't afford to get too many of those. Even though we've been green for a while, the field is still close enough that time penalties would wreak havoc. Classic Love now coming into the pits at 17th position. Meerkat really slow through the wall of champions, but he's fast on exit. So Snake still is not able to do anything. There you are. Classic Love is putting on soft tires. He is a lap down though. So what he will do may not have a direct knock-on effect on the rest of the field for some time. Collie Boy, 3-second time penalty. I'm starting to see the sun peek through the clouds in some parts of the circuit now. Alright, there's the word. DRS has been enabled, and typically what that means is that we will now start seeing drivers go ahead and jump into the pit lane. And that means that the first driver who'll get a chance to throw on softs, if he so chooses, will be this man, your race leader, Mr. Neon. Will he pit? Yes, he is coming in, and he will likely put on medium tires for the last 20 laps of this race. Here comes Meerkat. Snake is going to stay out a lap. He seems to think that the track is wet enough to warrant staying out one more lap. Stone Shuffle, your championship, one of your championship contenders pits. Here comes Irons, here comes Mars Bar, here comes Nissan. Will Chubby pit? Chubby is gonna pit. Nissan is going to stay out. Constant Jet's gonna pit. Fiend, is he gonna pit? Fiend is gonna pit. Schumacher is gonna pit. Collie Boy, is he gonna pit? He will. Almost the entire field is pitting. It's going to be interesting though because we do see a few exceptions. Snake stayed out. He is still on intermediate tires. He's gonna have one more lap where there's nobody around him. Gusty just got lagged back onto the racetrack. That is weird. And now the entire game is breaking. Yep, the entire game's broken now. The game doesn't know what to do with this many cars on the racetrack, and Constant Jet has just gotten DNF'd. And there's a Alfa Romeo. Collie Boy is all over the track right now. Constant Jet's just been kicked out of the session. Well, Boothie stayed out on intermediates for one more lap. It looks like everything's starting to settle out, but what happened to Constant Jet there? Now Schumacher has been kicked back to dead last somehow. And Snake is finally paying out of the lead, so we will see Mr. Neon retake the race lead here. Stone Shuffle now up in third position. And that extra lap for Snake has not worked out for him. He went from fighting for third, well, fighting for second, to now being fourth. But his tires will have, I guess, one extra lap of freshness on them. Boothie is coming into the pits now to swap onto proper tires. The game seems to think that Schumacher is in the pits, but I'm looking at him. It seems like the pit lane speed limiter has been turned on for the car, and he's circling the entire track under pit lane speed, and now other cars are phasing through his. And now Schumacher has been DNF'd. Fiend! One of your championship contenders, Fiend, is now out. He's had an accident. While fighting with Gussie, he has had an accident. And that will likely slam the door shut on Fiend's championship aspirations as he crashes out of the points-paying positions while fighting with Gustie. Fiend completely out of it now, but we are still green on the circuit. So now this changes everything. All right, coming into the party right now is Constant Jet. Constant, go ahead and include your audio. What in the world happened out there that took you out of the race in the middle of green flag stops?
I don't know, but hello for my weekly chat. My weekly chat every week. Yeah, tires came off, tires went on. I released the clutch, go to press my RT, and then it decides to go no, bye-bye. So I don't know what happened.
Well, it's a shame because you looked like you were on track for at least a respectable finish there. There's not much else to say. It seems like the game glitched. We went through about a solid minute and a half where nothing was going on. And then Schumacher ended up being released from the pit lane, but he had to complete an entire lap at pit lane speed. And then just as his lap was coming to an end, the game disqualified him. So, yeah, it seems like the game couldn't handle having the entire field swap tires at once.
Oh. Well. Ah. Fun times.
Alright, Well, it's a shame. Thanks for going ahead and talking with us.
Yeah,
Also
bye.
coming into the party is Fiend. Fiend, you were fighting there, it looked like, with Gusty, and then had an accident there in Sector 2. What happened out there?
Well, I go into the pits to change my tyres. Me and Constant double stack. This has come off. His new tyres go on. And then it retires him from the session for no apparent reason, and his car just disappears into thin air. I come out of the pits, and the track is still wet, but DRS is enabled and everything, so it's the right side to be on. Going into the chicane, I just lose it a little bit, and I kind of go spin a la into the wall, and usually what should be just a wing brake turned out to be a full DNF.
Well, it's an absolute travesty. I hate to say this may shut the door on your championship aspirations. But do you think you can recover from this next week?
Next race, I'm not sure what the track is.
I'm sorry, next race, yeah.
Yeah,
I believe it's going to be either Bahrain or Russia.
Russia, isn't it? Russia, it's a decent track, is Russia. I mean, there's a few walls around, but it shouldn't be too bad. This Canada track is very tricky on the game, so it's kind of difficult, really, with the weeks that with the break week we've had, and then coming back to the game after a couple of weeks. You know, people are going to be rusty and stuff, but Russia should be a fun race, and hopefully it's a bit better for us.
Alright, well, it's an absolute travesty to see that happen, especially with the way that you were recovering from your earlier incident and climbing up through the grid.
Yeah.
But,
Oh well.
alright, well, I want to say thanks, Fiend and Constant Jet, for jumping in and talking with us, and now we turn our focus back onto the track. Well, with having 4 different leaders in the first 10 laps, 3 of them having spun out, it has put Mr. Neon in the race lead, where he's solidly held the lead since then. He's opened up the gap on Mantic Meerkat, and Neon has no time penalties. So as long as these medium tires will last him to the end and he doesn't get caught in someone else's mess, it looks like Neon is a solid lock for this race win. What's going to make things interesting, though, is going to be the time penalties, because everyone except for Neon and Stone Shuffle have at least 3 seconds worth of time penalties. Meerkat has 3 seconds, Snake, Irons, Marsbar, Chubby all have 6, Nissan has 3, Gusty has 3, Collie Boy has 15 seconds worth of time penalties, Ocean Lion has 3 seconds, Ross G2288 has 8 seconds, Boothy has 9, Plastic Glove has 12, and even XRL Flavor has 3 seconds of time penalties.
Boothy is closing up to the back of Ross at the moment.
Ross, a lap down, has given way to Mantic Meerkat for the moment. V8 Irons is out there setting the fastest lap of the day in and day out here. Well, lap in and lap out pretty much. He is on a mission. I think he might be able to get into the podium positions at the rate he's going. Most of the battles on the circuit have kind of dissolved at this point because we've just been under a really long green flag period. We did have a brief virtual safety car, but the field obviously didn't bunch up during that. Marsbar has somewhat closed on Irons, but he's stuck in the aerodynamic wake and it's hurting him more than it is helping him right now. And the gas between everyone else is about a second or more on the circuit. Also, how many times have we seen this? Chubby has an incident early on in the race. We're thinking like, oh no, he's out of the points. The race is over. He might even lose the championship lead. And now here we are, about 13 laps to the end. Chubby is 6th. One of his championship rivals have crashed out. One of his championship rivals are 8th. One of the championship rivals are 9th. He's once again somehow turned the race around that looked like it was going to be disaster. Alright, Irons has caught Snake pretty much, so we'll be able to use DRS on the McLaren going down the back straightaway here. Will he be able to get close enough to try and outbrake him, though? That's the question. That's a negative. He's within a quarter of a second in the braking zone. He stays in the draft again as they head down to the hairpin. He's going to have DRS on both of the front straights against the McLaren, so this should work in his favor. Snake will apply the ERS to try and stay ahead. The Aston Martin will open up the rear wing. Here he comes, looks to the inside, side by side for a third position going down the straight. The Aston Martin will clear the McLaren, and Irons goes up into the podium positions. And now he has the fastest lap again with a 1:12.756. So Irons continues to be the fastest driver on circuit. But I hate to say it, it looks like third is the best Irons can hope for because Neon has no time penalties and Meerkat only has 3 seconds while Irons has 6. Snake is doing a respectable job holding on to Irons'
Boothie's hit the
craft.
wall. He's got front wing damage. Only he's lost his right end plate, no left end plate.
Hilariously enough, just behind Boothie is third place V8 Irons, his teammate, so he will move aside to let his teammates sneak by. Lap traffic being a massive factor here in today's race, with 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th all a lap down and kind of just mixed in with the main group. Now Shelby has another time penalty. Ocean Lion is 11th right now and trying to stay ahead of Mr. Neon, who happens to be his teammate. So that's the other thing. A lot of these drivers who are a lap down, they have teammates that are running relatively well today. It's really weird. As Boothie is now in the pit lane to repair the damage to the car, but the game seems to be glitching him out, and the game respawned him onto the racetrack.
On a fresh set of softs.
But with the wing damage still on, and now he's back into the pits.
Oh, this is very weird.
Well, it's not as bad as the entire grid getting screwed over, but this is the same kind of thing that took Constant Jet and Schumacher out of the race. But it looks like he's back underway properly now. Stun Shuffle gets by Wild Nissan GTR for 7th. And Stone Shuffle has no time penalties. Chubby Spark has 9 seconds, so Stone Shuffle can close in on Chubby Spark. He might be able to get a little bit closer to the championship points leader. Marsbar has closed in on Snake, although that Alfa Romeo literally just hit the wall coming out of the hairpin as I said that. But Marsbar has DRS, is closing on Snake. He might be able to make a move in the next few laps. Neon has come into the pits, as is Mantic Meerkat. I think we're going to start seeing drivers throw on soft tires to go to the end of the race here. This, though, has put V8 Irons into the race lead now. So now Snake is back into second with Marsbar there in third, putting pressure on. Chubby Spark is fourth. Mr. Neon is coming out fifth, just behind him. But interesting enough, Neon and Meerkat put on another set of mediums. Neither of them put on soft tires to go to the end. They both elected to put on mediums. I don't know what the idea is there. They'll still be faster than the people ahead of them, but if it's 10 laps to go, you might as well throw on softs.
Yeah, very weird call there from both of them.
And now Neon is being held up by the Ferrari of Chubby Spark. Stone Shuffle has not been able to catch Meerkat either. So this really makes things weird. Although again, Neon has no time penalties. Everyone ahead of him does have time penalties. Chubby has 9 seconds worth. Now Collie Boy's come in. He's throwing on soft tires. Ocean Lion is coming in. Plastic Love has fresh softs on. Snake is pitting out a second. He'll likely put on soft tires. I think this race has just gotten really interesting because people can't seem to figure out if it's mediums or soft tires that you want to run to the end. Snake also putting on a new front wing as well, so he might have taken damage somewhere, but Snake now goes from second all the way down to 6th, will likely fall even behind Stone Shuffle as well. Because of the time spent trying to repair the front wing, he's going to fall all the way to 8th at this point. Gusty also in the pits. He's putting on soft tires as well. Neon now up in third with just 2 more cars farther up the track from him, and both of them have 6 seconds of time penalties. So Neon, he just needs to close in a bit and he'll have the race lead once more. Also of note, V8 Irons is putting pressure on Ocean Lion and, no, that's not Ocean Lion, Ross Key2288. But now that's gone because V8 Irons is going to come into the pits. He'll likely put on soft tires. Now Mars Bar is going to go into the race lead. Mr. Neon now gets by V8 Irons as Irons is still in the pit lane. I think Neon is still going to win this simply because of penalty countback, but outside of that, I think every position from second on back is up for grabs, just because some drivers think softs are the way to go, some drivers think mediums are the way to go, some drivers, I think Shelby and Mars Bar, 2 of them, are going to try and go to the end on the tires they have and save time by not changing tires. These mediums should be able to last to the end of the race without issue.
There's not really any battles like at the moment.
There definitely is. Snake,
them,
Nissan, and Stone Shuffle are all on top of each other for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Nissan is on the oldest tires of them all. Snake is on fresh softs. They can put a lot of pressure on everybody here in this fight. We should see V8 Irons overtake Chubby Spark for 4th in just a few laps here. In fact, we might not even have to wait that long. It might come now going into the Wall of Champions. No, Irons is going to hold out for a bit. And now Chubby Spark is coming in for soft tires. So that will drop Chubby Spark down the order. Stone Shuffle, is he going to come in to pit for softs? No, he will not. McLaren to Snake is going to move ahead of Nissan in the process. So now Stone Shuffle goes up into 5th. Shuffle is not changing tires yet. Mars Bar, who is in the lead, has also not changed tires. But on penalty countback, it is Mr. Neon who is leading the race because Mars Bar has 6 seconds worth of time penalties. Snake still putting pressure on Stone Shuffle right now, but Snake has 9 seconds of time penalties. Stone Shuffle has none. Stone Shuffle just needs to make these tires last to the end, and he will at least finish 5th, I imagine. He's not close enough to Irons or Meerkat ahead to do anything to them, but a 5th place position finish while Shelby is going to be relegated to 8th or 9th will be great for him. Snake trying to see what he can do to get by Shuffle, because Snake has fresh softs that he wants to make ground with. Here he is, around the outside of Stone Shuffle. Shuffle really can't put up much of a fight. There's just no DRS there, and his tires are a lot older. Snake inherits 5th, but again, on penalty countback, that's the place will go back to Stone Shuffle. Neon is closing on Mars Bar. He's not going to catch him before race in, but just because of penalty countback, he is going to win this race unless Neon starts racking up penalties of his own. Chubby is 8th right now. He needs to stay at least 3 seconds ahead of Gusty, who is in 9th, because Gusty only has 6 seconds of penalties, while Chubby has 12 now. So now Chubby has to really start running and getting away from Gusty now. Otherwise, he's going to end up being relegated behind that Red Bull. So right now, everyone's just trying to balance tire strategy and time penalties at this point. Interestingly enough, V8 Irons is closing on Mantic Meerkat. He's going to try and get a podium finish out of this with these soft tires. He is pushing extremely hard right now for this. He's 2 seconds out from Meerkat. Meerkat is on relatively fresh mediums, but Iron is on fresher softs, and those tires aren't going to really drop off between now and the end of the race. So this is going to work out in Iron's favor. When it comes to penalty countback, they're both even 6 seconds each. And a virtual safety car! Has something happened? I saw something happen with Flavor go off circuit, but now there's a full virtual safety car.
There's no
It's at a
damage
very-
on Flavor's car, so it's a very confusing virtual safety car we have. Oh, no. Oh wait, no. Oh wait, Flavor does go in. It might have been minor front lane damage, but very weird virtual safety car that we have on our hands at the moment.
And the one this is really going to hurt is going to be Irons. He was trying to charge up on Meerkat, and Boothie is out. Boothie is out of the race. But where is he? Where'd he go out at? Oh, crap. All by himself there, coming onto the DRS back straightaway.
Oh. Nah,
That's
it's
just in
not
front of
good.
Collie Boy. But it's gone now, so we're still under the virtual safety car. Flavor went ahead and pitted to repair damage during this, so that would relegate him back to 15th. But due to this late virtual safety car, I think this basically puts an end to almost all the fighting we were seeing on the track. The gaps just are too large for anyone to close. I think the way it is right now is going to be how it finishes, with the exception of time penalties. And when it comes to time penalties, Shelby is going to kind of get hurt here, because although he's right there behind Nissan, he only has 4 seconds over Gussie. He needs to extend that to 6 seconds. There we are. DRS is back in. Safety car is gone, so Shelby needs to get by Nissan as fast as possible. He's looking to the inside, side by side for 7th. Nissan's not giving him any room, and that's squeeze him in the wall, and your championship leader is in an accident! Your championship leader is in an accident! And that's going to kick Shelby out of the top 10. He's going to have to pit to repair the front wing. Here comes Gusty. He's going to try and get by. And that is going to wreak havoc on the championship. Gusty is going to go into the points lead. Oh my goodness. And for Wild Nissan, aggravation, frustration coming into the party right now is Boothie. Boothie, accident there that brought the virtual safety car late. What happened that took you out?
Lost the front wing and then just went too fast into the next corner and just carried on straight, really. Been a crappy day.
Well, the fact that you weren't able to qualify definitely hurt, but I just have to ask, do you think you can rebound from this at the next race at Russia?
Probably not. Really quite dislike Russia.
Alright, well, it's a shame to see you out there as we continue our focus back onto the race track. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us about what happened. As we turn our focus once more into the circuit, Irons, 2.2 seconds out from Mantic Meerkat, but it seems like his forward momentum has stalled out, and he has 3 seconds now of time penalties against him, so it's not going to work out. Neon is within 2 seconds of Marsbar. Marsbar has 9 seconds of time penalties. Meerkat has 6. As it stands right now, Marsbar would still finish second, but Meerkat can pick up the pace. He might be able to snipe second, an actual second, from Marsbar before this race comes to its close. Most of the other battles on track, though, are pretty much over. Nissan is behind Ross, but Ross has 8 seconds, Nissan has 3, so that will go in Nissan's favor. Everywhere else around the circuit, the gaps are large enough that they're not really gonna matter. Shelby has gotten lucky. When he came into the pits and came back out, he did not fall out of the points paying position, so that will somewhat soften the blow. He's still going to finish, by the looks of it, in 9th or 10th.
One Nissan goes down the inside of Ross into 10th place in the hairpin. On fresh softs as well compared to Ross's 14 lap old mediums, and now it's basically just pulling away. Basically gaining 1 point after what could have been a few more points, unfortunately, for the AlphaTauri driver.
Nissan driving very defensively against Shelby Spark, and they tried going side by side in a corner that's not fit for it. I don't really know who I could put blame on. I think it would probably be about like 60% Shelby, 20% Nissan, and 20% just the track/racing incident. I understand that Shelby realized that Gusty was closing on him, but you have to make moves at places where the track allows it. You know, these are not the Formula 1 cars of the 2000s. Modern day Formula 1 cars are basically boats. They don't have much maneuverability, especially in slower corners. Shelby's should have realized that and just waited for a DRS straight to get by. But
Yeah.
Nissan also should have realized that the guy behind was way faster and was alongside of him for a good 7 seconds before the accident happened, going into a braking zone. I think it should have been on Shelby to give way, but Nissan should have, had the wherewithal to also be willing to give way as well.
Oh, Flavor and Plastic Love are having a battle. So they were side by side in the hairpin, but Plastic Love just about holds on for P13.
All right, coming to the checkered flag, Marsbar moves over for Neon, so Neon will cross the line and take home a dominant victory here at Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. Marsbar is the second car across the line. Mantic Meerkat will be third across the line. V8 Irons will finish fourth. Here comes XRL Snake. He's down there in fifth. Flavor, in the end, ahead of Plastic Love on penalty countback. All right, Snake crosses the line fifth, but Stone Shuffle is going to move up several positions, at least up into fifth. Yeah, Stone Shuffle finishes fifth. Yeah. Great point stay for him. Here comes Gusty. He is going to take home the championship points lead by finishing seventh here. Then it's going to be Collie Boy who will finish eighth, and then Shelby Spark will finish ninth. With Wild Nissan, no, actually Nissan I think is going to finish ninth, and then Shelby will finish 10th. I think I'm seeing that right.
Yeah. We'll find out when they cross the line. Here comes one Nissan. And then it'll be Rot and then Ross.
Oh no, Shelby does hold on to ninth. Okay.
I think it was just like by 0.003 of a second as well, so it was very close. Who does the game give as driver of the day? It's Collie Boy.
I can understand that. Collie Boy involved in some instance early on, able to rebound to a respectful finish.
Now we've got a thing of the driver 61.
Well, without a doubt, I think our race winner deserves it. I think the remaining 50 points should go either to the pole sitter or fastest lap. Personally, I think it should be pole sitter, but I'm also a little bit biased there, I will admit. So maybe fastest lap. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll see who got fastest lap once we're out of this.
V8 Irons.
Irons?
Well, that's inside the top 10. It's V8 Irons, and actually, it's inside the top 10. It's the best lap time anyway.
Who got fastest outside of the top 10?
Looks like it'll be Ross that got the fastest lap outside the top 10.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. I'll leave it to you. Do you think it should be Irons, or do you think it should be Shelby who would get the remaining 50 points? I firmly settle that we need to give some to the race winner. But real quickly, before we do any more, well, it's not the race winner, but Shelby, you came into this race with the point. All right, Shelby, just please stand by for a bit. Mr. Neon, your race winner coming into the party. Neon, go ahead, include your audio. A fantastic victory here at Canada. What do you have to say?
Well, it was an interesting race with the with the weather changing sort of halfway through. Obviously, everyone was going full speed in the qualifying for the softs. It was a very close, very fierce, close Q3. The rain obviously played a massive part in two of my rivals spinning out. One unfortunately under safety car. But yeah, it was a pretty interesting race, pretty clean. I enjoyed it.
All right, so I just have to ask, Neon, you did not start on the front row. In fact, you weren't even in the top 3 at the race start, but we saw 3 different drivers spin out of the lead, one of them under the safety car, in the first 9 laps of the race, and that let you take the lead. What do you think allowed you to keep your car straight on the slick circuit while your rivals all spun out of the front spot?
I was just being overly cautious. I didn't adjust my wing in any way. I kept a dry setup on and was just being really cautious on the exits of every corner. Even if it meant me losing sort of a little bit of time on the exits, I would just burn the ERS just to get back away from them because it built up so quickly.
All right, well, an outstanding victory, Neon. At any point after the track started drying out, did you think you were under threat from other drivers?
Yeah, definitely there was a threat. When I did the second pit, I managed to get, well, saying that, I managed to get the first pit in for the mediums. As soon as the strategy came up, I was entering the pit, so it was perfect timing. And then the second pit, obviously, a couple of guys opted to try and stay out on the slightly older mediums, and it didn't quite work for them. The pace difference was quite big. But yeah, there was definite threats there. It's just it played into my hands. Played quite well, to be fair.
I do also want to say this. We didn't really focus on it too much. You had the win basically locked up again with about 6-7 laps to go just due to penalty countback. But you went hard overtaking Barsbar in the World Championship on the final corner. Was that an arrangement between the two of you, or did you just really push hard because you wanted the pride of crossing the line first?
I just wanted to cross the line first. I felt as though I'd earned it, but because he chose to stay out on the older mediums, and try and nip the win. I didn't want to take the merit on the penalties. I just wanted to go all out down that last straight. I was burning all my ARS. I had the DRS. I was just going to have it, and I think he sort of yielded when he realised I was going for it, because there was no way he was going to pull it back to beat me because of the penalty anyway. So, but no, there was definitely no arrangement there. I just wanted to cross the line in first place with no penalties.
All right, Neon, I'm just going to go ahead and say absolutely outstanding victory there for you. Congratulations on the win, and we'll be looking forward to you maybe doing a repeat performance in a few weeks at Russia.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, coming into the party right now is Stone Shuffle. I will want to talk with you in a bit, Stone Shuffle, but first I want to go ahead and talk to Chubby. Chubby, you won the pole in a very, very shocking fashion. You took off on the lead early on, and then everything kind of fell apart, and you've lost the points lead. What happened today?
Canada is my worst track, easily. I knew going into this week it was just, either I was going to DNF or just do horribly. I never do well here. I've never done well at Canada. So, I think is it tied, or am I losing by one?
You're going to be behind by about 1 or 2 points at this point.
Okay, yeah. So, hopefully in the next few tracks I can get back on it. But, yeah, it was just a tough day. I don't know how I spun. I thought I barely touched the throttle, and it just, I guess, went. But, I don't know. So, yeah, it was just a tough day.
Go ahead and walk us through that late accident you had with Wild Nissan there in the closing laps.
So, I think I just come out of the pits like a lap before, and I was closing up on him. After the first, sequence of corners, going into that, left-right, where you can, dip your wheel on the left-hand side, I don't know what that corner is called. We went side by side. We touched right before it, but I don't think that really did anything. And I just think he kind of did like a Sebastian Vettel and just squeezed me into the wall. So, I don't know what's happened there, but I guess we'll let the steroids look at it. So, it's just not a good day.
All right, well, you were able to somewhat recover and still came home with some points in ninth. But unfortunately, your two closest rivals ahead of you. Rough day. Hopefully, things will turn around for you soon enough. Also, I do want to go ahead and talk with Stone Shuffle. Stone Shuffle, over the last few weeks, you've kind of fallen a little bit away from the championship points lead. Everything's turned around. You're one of only 2 drivers today to finish with no time penalties, and you come home 5th ahead of all your rivals in the title fight. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I was pretty pleased because I really didn't think I had the pace. Qualifying 10th, I really bottled those last couple of laps, and I'd made the mistake of messing around with my setup before coming into the session, and it just really didn't suit my driving style, so I was just really loose on the rear, which cost me lots of time in every single traction zone on the track. I was pleased from going from 10th to 5th, but it could have been so much more. But I clipped my front wing and decided to make a change the first time, and I think without that I would have been 10-15 seconds up the road with no penalties right in amongst it, and it could have been a much better finish for me. But it's what happens. It's Canada, and it's easy to knock your wing, as I did again after I changed it. So I was running for the last 10, 12 laps with a damaged front wing again.
Well, being able to still come home 5th with that, absolutely outstanding. I do want to say good job. Obviously, you're not close enough to Championship 5 to fully capitalize and not take the points lead, but this will definitely close it up and without a doubt put you very well into the talk of the championship fight. Do you think you can continue to build on this going into the next race at Russia?
Well, I definitely feel like my pace is improving, but I did benefit at the last race from a couple of the really fast guys not racing in that particular race at Monza. And then penalties lifted me into first position. But I think for me, the big thing is just me trying to keep it clean in the race, keep on in touch, at least in touch with the guys that are leading. Because one of my strengths is that I can keep a pretty clean race with no or few penalties, and that seems to stand me in good stead at the end of the race. So perhaps I can get into it, but I'm quite a long way back, as you see.
All right, well, we'll be looking forward to what you can do next race, Stone Shuffle. And I do want to say, once again, thank you for jumping in. We've tried to get word with XRL Gussie, who will walk out of this race with the points lead, but he's not been willing to jump in. So before we close out the broadcast, though, driver 51 points for coaching. I'm sorry, driver 61, yeah. 50 points. I think we can both agree 50 points should go to the race winner today, Mr. Neon. But for the remaining, I think it's honestly should be a toss-up between either the pole sitter or your fastest lap earner. And I think it should be you who decides between those two who it should go to.
It's so difficult as well because I'll go with the fastest lap, I think.
V8 irons? All right.
Yeah, I reckon.
All right, well, assuming that V8 irons doesn't get totally disqualified from the race afterwards, which I find highly unlikely, it looks like your winner for the driver 61 driving session, free driving session, coaching session, whatever you want to call it, will go to Mr. Neon 713 and V8 irons. Beyond that, though, anything else you want to say about this race that we've just wrapped up?
No, that's it.
All right, and that's pretty much it for me also. There's not really a whole lot else that I have to say myself. So until next time, we'll be here in about 2 weeks' time as we go to Russia. But until that time, stay safe, everyone. I've been St. Lear 13. I've been joined by XRL Torpedo today. And thank you for tuning in. Later on the main channel, in a little less than an hour's time, will be the last Montreal race for X2. Some of you will see then. Until then, farewell.